Hey, kia ora koutou whānau. Welcome back to another edition of Big Hairy News. Kia ora Chewy. How are you, love?
Kia ora, Pat. I am doing all right. I don't know
well.
what day of the week it is anymore, but I'm doing okay.
I'm a bit the same. We're like, it's Tuesday today. Oh, hang on, no, it's Wednesday because Monday was sort of a different day, no shift at night, no shift doing this, talking to the whānau. So it feels
clocking
right.
Clocking in at the podcast factory.
Yep, getting down to the salt mine to talk about a few things in the news. Yeah, so a bit the same. It's like it feels a bit like an off week when you do a different thing on your Monday. Yeah, but good. How's things overall? Pretty good. What's happening? What's going on? What's crack-a-lacking? Oh, are we keeping you up? Would you like to go home?
I am home.
Oh, that's true. Actually, we both are.
Yeah. So I woke up this morning to a bit of frost, and it reminded me over the weekend. I saw a post on Reddit from an Aucklander who was seeing frost, and he seemed shocked, terrified, unsure of how to proceed with his day. So I'm guessing that frost is uncommon in Auckland. Is this true, Pat?
Yeah, I lived out west by the water, out by Huia, between Huia and Titirangi. Henderson Valley was kind of one of the colder places, and like in the middle, because it's a valley, would get frosts and stuff. But no, I can remember being a kid and playing rugby on a Saturday morning in bare feet in frosts. So you do get frosts in Auckland, but certainly nothing like, south of the Bombays. Bombay Hills is a really interesting line of demarcation. There is a significant temperature change on the southern side of the Bombay Hills to the northern side of the Bombay Hills. Like I'd have friends coming up from Hamilton to visit or hang out or whatever, and they'd be like, it's like 5 degrees warmer. But yeah, yes, the answer is yes, there are frosts in Auckland, but they're just not perhaps as readily viewed as the rest of the country.
Fake news, don't believe it.
Fake news?
Yeah.
Yeah, so, yeah, fake news. I've just seen something in the chat. I don't know if it's true. Someone's saying that the Heritage Foundation has been hacked. It'd be interesting to see what would come out of there. So I just jumped on super quick to have a look if there's anything, and there's nothing so far. Can we go like recent? Can we go like in the past hour? No, just Project 2025. Keep an eye on that. That would be very interesting if a hack's gone through to see what would come out from there. So we'll keep you informed. We'll let you know kind of after you guys already know, and then we'll talk about it that night or something like that. I've got a little bit of a fun picture to show you too. You might enjoy this. This is not necessarily taken by this person, but it's been shared off Millie Molly's Twitter feed. Mr. Luxon, I think, like when an animal, especially a bird, is trying to defend its passion, it puffs out its plume to try and make itself look bigger. You know how everything in America is supposedly bigger? I think that includes their politicians, because Luxon, did I say John Key earlier? Anyway, they feel the same to me. Christopher Luxon is puffing out his plumage because American politicians are bigger, and he wants to show them, don't have a crack. Don't come near me. I'm big. You see? You kind of see the...
Oh, that's dreadful.
Yeah. I mean, what else is it?
Did he... Okay, so that jacket doesn't fit him. But almost to the point where it's almost like he's got the hanger still on the back.
Right.
Like, that makes... it's a weird... How can a millionaire dress so badly?
Well, it could be, and this is no shame. This is no shame, but it could be the prime ministerial puku, which I think we all agree has been expanding in the last few months. And that, look, we're not fat shaming, obviously, but maybe it's that. Maybe it's his suit from 6 months ago, which doesn't quite fit as well today as it did. Just saying.
I remember when he was over in the UK for, I guess it was the coronation or something, and it showed him in a very ill-fitting morning suit, which I assume like someone would have put it on him and made sure it fit.
Yep.
But yeah, very weird.
Yeah. Also, we want to remind y'all that we've got a bit of fun going on at the moment here or whatever the name of the show is, Big Hero News, is that we are looking for a new theme tune. I've actually had a couple come in. I was going to play some tonight, but we've decided to hold off of them till we get a
I
few
want
more.
to keep the mystery.
All right.
We could have given you a sneak preview, folks, but I next. I want to build anticipation.
So if you are a muso, or you know a muso, or you want to share this around, like put this into musos Facebook pages. You know, they must be out there, because we're offering $500 for someone to design us a new theme tune. Because mostly we're like, you know, AI, the poor artists are, no one's having to pay graphic designers anymore, because you just design it through AI and Photoshop templates. And so even though ours is AI generated, we thought, well, let's get someone to design us a new one. And we put out $250, and one of our lovely supporters wanted to match it. So it's now $500. And what it needs to be, in fact, one's come in today that's got no lyrics, and the person says they don't think it should have lyrics. Completely fine with that. If that's your creative instinct, go for it. Lyrics are also completely fine. It really is up to you. If you're going to have lyrics in it, obviously it would make sense to sort of relate it to us. I mean, don't do one about, you know, Prince Charming, or mind you, Prince Charming. No, because, you know, it's really, we really want to throw it open to you and give you a chance to be blessed by the people who bless us. Patrons. A couple of people have signed up in the last wee while. Thanks for being a part of what we do.
Nice.
If you like what we do, if you want to support what we do, then what you can do is head to patreon.com/Big Hero News and become a patron of ours. We've had, I think, just literally 2 new ones in the last hour. People sign up. At the end of the show, you'll get mentioned in the credits. I'll put the sound down because I don't need to hear it. These are the credits that play, and patrons are all in there, see? And you get to be in the credits at the end of the show for what layer of patronage you're on. And yeah, it's a way that it genuinely does help as well. Like, people think, what can $5 do or whatever? Like, you put a whole bunch of those $5 together. We're approaching 300 patrons who are contributing financially. So it's amazing. And yeah, if you want to do it, if you want to support us in a tangible way, patreon.com/Big Hairy News. The other thing is to let you know, I tried to donate money to the Cancer Society today, but it wouldn't take my card. So I'm just going to do a bank transfer tomorrow. But so you're aware, with the help of some other generous people who have given some money as well, $400, Chewy, to the Cancer Society. That's quite nice, isn't it? So for those who weren't aware, when we do a merch drop, which is typically once a month, once every 6 weeks, we like to support a charity with our buffer gear, and we give 25% of the profits to that. Well, more like 50% of the profits this time if you add up other people who threw some money in as well. And it was $400. You know, it's not heaps, it's not nothing, but we'll keep doing it. We'll do another charity next month, and often we do tie it into what's happening political. The reason we did the Cancer Society was it was decided the day after National chose not to fund the cancer drugs, which has now changed. But at that point, we went, well, let's do something. Let's do something.
Yeah.
You guys, speaking of that merch, you guys should be probably receiving them in the next day or so if you haven't got them already, because they all went on the in the post on Monday. I think that's it for toilets and exits to your rear. Anything else for the and if you know. If you need to speak, just put your hand up and wait to be called on. It's all pretty good, really. Anything else we need to let people know about?
No, I think that covers everything.
Okay. Gosh, we've got some good stuff tonight. In fact, let's start with one story that's almost yesterday's news, although it's going to be ongoing. Let's start to talk about iRex, because we are finding out every day that the cost of cancelling those ferries is becoming more and more eye-watering. TVNZ ran a story last night, I'll just show you the headline, shall I, that says it's towards $500 million. $500 million to cancel them. And there are many saying this is not the end of the bill for cancelling them. And remember, this is what it's costing the country to not have any ferries and not have any work done on terminals. So we now have to add on top of that what is going to be the cost of the second-hand Corollas. And remember, we said this very clearly a couple of weeks ago. What we will end up getting is a massively inferior product for the same money they would have spent on the iRex. Or maybe paying some more. Once you add in the $500 million that they've wasted, and whatever more comes in over the next wee while, and then the cost of the new ferries, remembering that the advice to the government is there are no second-hand ferries out there at the moment, and inevitably probably still some changes to the wharfs because they're not going to be exactly the same ferries, it will probably be in excess of that $3 billion that they refuse to pay when you add all those things together. So, you want to jump in with anything, Chewy, before we see what they're actually talking about?
Remember, one of the numbers that I heard bandied around very early on was $800 million.
Yeah.
So
just for cancelling.
I'm interested to see whether that is accurate once all the dust settles and everything comes out. I would imagine that National will fight tooth and nail to conceal that number for as long as possible.
Yeah.
They have fucked up, and we should never, ever forget that this was just for election points.
On the new ferries when they come, not fit for purpose, not to the same level of the ones that were. Every person that throws up on those new ferries because they're smaller and they're tossed around more by the wind should send 10 to 15% of that vomit straight to one of these politicians to say, thanks for this, we're great. Because this is another thing we need to think about as well. I'm looking at getting my driveway sorted out. And what I'm looking for is best bang for the buck. So maybe I'll get it, because it's currently not sealed, but maybe I'll get it re-unsealed, so just chip laid down. Maybe it'll be concreted. Maybe it'll be somewhere in between. So I'm all about, if something costs a third more, but it's 10 times better, obviously that's worth paying a third more for. The other thing that these guys will try and do, come hell or high water, they'll try and spend like $2 billion or under in total, but we might have a product that's 1/10 as good. You know what I'm saying? So just because they're going to hit maybe a target or a dollar that's less than the $3 billion, if it is half of what we would have had, half the quality, half the capacity, half the lifespan, whatever it is, then it would have been better to spend an extra third to get to 3 million and have the fucking Ferrari. I mean, if you can buy a Corolla for 20 grand or a brand new Ferrari for 30 grand, you should fucking stretch yourself to the 30 grand. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? All right, let's get into it now. Do we still need this? I think we've just finished this story, have we? We'll just go on to the next one. Now, here we go. Golden Fox.
As the government urgently looks for a plan B for the Cook Strait ferries, One News can reveal the eye-watering amount already spent on the axed project. iRex would have delivered 2 mega ferries, but the budget blew out to $3 billion, seeing it scrapped in December. At the time, KiwiRail said about $400 million had already been spent, largely on preparing the ports. But in the 6 months since the plan was scratched, that's kept growing to now nearly $500 million. And that doesn't include the cost of breaking the contract with the South Korean shipyard or what still needs to be spent on new ferries.
Breaking the contract. And look, also remember, this government's name is now mud with any ferry agency. Because you know what will happen if Labor gets in next time? Maybe they'll go, guys, we really have to decide, do we want to go through with these piece of crap ferries that these guys have ordered, or do we need to take a financial hit? Thanks, National, and get something better, and could cancel another contract. So who's going to want to deal with these people? Who's going to want to deal with this government that just pulled the wool out from underneath a company already? You know, it's just, our name is mud as well. There's a cost, the name of the country and the trustworthiness of its government.
Jessica Roden has the exclusive details.
Thanks, Jessica.
Bigger and better, these are the mega ferries KiwiRail wanted. And while they didn't make it off the drawing board, they've still made a hefty dent in the taxpayer wallet.
I think it's a disgrace. It's, I mean, the government can put whatever spin they want on it, you know, when they come out and talk about it. But the facts are, you know, that's a lot of taxpayers' money going down the gurgler there.
Yeah.
iRex was scrapped after KiwiRail asked for extra cash and the government refused.
A resilient ferry service should not mean an open chequebook paid for by the taxpayer.
Despite being axed, the cost...
Hands up, people who think those words might come back to bite her really badly in the political arse. My hands up. Both my hands are up. All the way up. Yikes.
Absolutely.
Yikes.
It's
Of the project.
Chewy.
I'm always stunned about what a shitty decision this is.
Yeah.
It's knee jerk.
Yep, 100%. It's basically Labor bad. Get rid of it. You know, and just look, remember, and I'm not going to apologise for going on about this. $3 billion to landlords, best part of $3 billion in tax cuts. There's $6 billion. They could have had these and still had $3 billion left over to give to landlords.
Despite being axed, the cost of the project continued to climb by an extra $84 million.
I think the real risk now is that the government will see a huge hundreds of millions of dollars sunk into this project.
Yikes.
And then they're going to have to start again. And actually, ultimately, we could end up on the hook for more money as a result.
The bulk of the money, more than $300 million, has been spent on preparing for new terminals, though only this temporary terminal in Picton was completed. And almost $100 million was spent on the proposed ferries, covering their design and a deposit. Wellingtonians unimpressed.
They should have let them buy the bigger boats in the first place, I think.
I do think it's quite important, especially with like all the different types of people that are on that ferry.
Sounds like they've delayed making decisions about it far too long.
Kiwi Rail says iRex officially ended in March, aside from a small amount of ongoing work to ensure sites are safe.
How about all the workers as well? Who basically, I mean, these aren't workers that'll be classified as the let's get rid of bureaucrats. How many New Zealanders have lost their jobs based on a government promise that this could be 2, 3, 4, 5 years worth of work? National comes in and goes, nah, you're unemployed. There's that as well, Chewy.
Yeah, it's all the downstream effects, all of that money that would have gone into the economy, and all the lost productivity. Now, remember, Simeon Brown loves talking about productivity. How much lost productivity every time one of our old, rusty, broken, end-of-life ships fuck out.
Yeah, completely.
You know,
right.
Just bite the bullet, buy the thing.
Yeah.
No one from the government could be interviewed today.
Oh, that's funny, eh? They wouldn't show. Wonder why.
But a spokesperson said Cabinet took into account the cost of winding down the project when it declined more funding last year. Politically, Nicola Willis is really out on a limb on this ferries issue. One of her first moves as Finance Minister was to get rid of iRex with no plan B in place. She says...
Just pause and take that on board, whānau. Yeah. This government who's been telling us about the previous guys running around with like headless chickens, not being able to make decisions, terrible organisation, have cancelled plan A and have no plan for plan B, have no way of, haven't offered a plan B, still haven't offered a plan B. So they've gone, that deal's out. I don't know. What's next? I don't know yet.
Maybe we've just got it wrong, Pat. Maybe we just don't know. Maybe Nicola should come on the show and explain it to us. Because I don't see any tactics in this at all outside of a political one.
Yeah.
There's no risk that they've worked out. There's no plan here. They didn't have an alternative lined up. They just killed a project, and they've done it by telling the media that the whole project's blown out, and then the taxpayer and the public gets fed this overall narrative that the entire project was a blowout, and it was the cost of the ferries going up, not the increased scope and resilience to be built into the port facilities to work with them. They're replacing 100-plus-year-old port facilities at the same time, and that's where the cost overruns were coming from.
So if you look at this like an Occam's razor situation, what's the most likely outcome here? If party A, and I don't mean political, I mean group, party A stops something happening, you have to ask, why did they stop it happening? Well, they stopped it happening because they wanted the money to stop flowing into this project, because they have no plan B. Like if Party A had to come out and stop the money flowing in and then say, but we're going to divert it here, you could say that they're spending it in a better way. All they did was stop the money. So you have to assume that Party A stopped the money for something they wanted to use the money for. And we bring you back to, my friends, landlords and tax cuts. So Party A, the national-led government, stopped the money going to iRex because they wanted tax cuts for their mates and landlords to get $3 billion. There's no other logical conclusion. There's no other logical conclusion.
There's an announcements coming soon on new ferries, and with that, she'll need to prove to Kiwis why the government's made the right decision.
It's not going away. We still have to get vessels, and we have to get that infrastructure built.
Until a new plan is announced, it's unclear how much of the work that's been done can be repurposed and how much was wasted with the sinking of iRex. Jessica Roden.
Yeah, pretty shoddy, pretty shaky. And, you know, government, we've said this before. We, at the very least, we will hold this government accountable to the standard they've set for themselves, in other words, their promises, or the standard they insisted the last government should have attained. If the last government had have gone, let's look at a national party policy, national standards in the schools. If the last government had gone, we're getting rid of national standards, and there was no plan as to what was going to replace them, what do you think Luxon would have been going on and on and on and on and on and on and on about at every opportunity whilst he was in opposition? Oh, they don't know how to run a country. Look at what they're doing. They've got rid of something without a replacement. What they've got rid of is the best option. And it's exactly what they're doing now. So we're going to hold them to account to at least the standard that they did or would have held the last lot accountable to, Chewy.
Yeah, absolutely. This personally pisses me off, so I just don't want to let it go. Like, this is the party that prides itself on, you know, national infrastructure.
Yeah, roads of national significance.
Yeah, roads of national significance. And apparently the road and rail link between our two main islands is not of significance. It's not important. Doesn't matter how many billions of dollars worth of goods and services cross that strait every year. We're just happy to play fast and loose.
Yeah.
Because if we have that narrative that Labor are very free and easy with the checkbook, that'll solve the problem for us. The problem is that we're not the government.
I mean, ultimately, I don't want to have the country worse off. But there's a little part of me which kind of goes, I hope, because if basically nationally government fail and fall over in this kind of area, it's worse for all of us. I don't want that innately. I want our governments to succeed, whoever they are. But also, we want to be able to go, here's the line of demarcation between these two political spheres, right? The sphere on the right typically talks about the self. What's good for me? What can I do? What can I get? I'm not saying it's universal, but typically. The sphere on the left more than often goes, what's good for us? What's good for the community? What's good for them? You know what I'm saying? The guys on the right are like, pull me up by the bootstraps. The guys on the left are like, here's the ladder to come on up. And in this instance, it's like, you think about a better result costing more. I mean, if these guys come back with ferries similar to the size we've got now, that's already beyond population growth. How long have we had these ferries? At what population? How many tourists have we had coming to this country on that size ferries, which are now outgrown? I mean, my hope would be that someone would be mature enough. I know, I can hear you from Dunedin to go, actually, we made a mistake. We've done the numbers, and because of give themselves an out, because of the increased cost of production, those ferries were actually a pretty good deal, so we're going to go try and get them back. I know that's never going to happen, but we all know what the situation is. They're going to be paying as much for worse, or maybe they'll pay a bit less, but for much less product. It's so infuriating.
Mike in the chat's just made an excellent point here. Just also put it in context. $40 billion for National's roading plan.
Yeah.
So we're quite happy National spend the money on roads, but
just not the quote unquote road between the North and South Island. That place that links car North Island get to car South Island. That road is like, too much. Can't do that.
Absolutely.
There's one other story that's come out as well about around the ferries. It kind of popped up yesterday, and there's a memo that's been released. New Zealand First did a bit of a shot across the bow. See what I did there? See the pun actually worked across the bow?
Okay.
About what happened and why the ferry got grounded. More news has come out today about an autopilot button accident. So this is only 60 seconds. This is from the news tonight. 3 News off YouTube. Thanks, 3 News.
So this memo obtained by the Post details what sparked the series of events that led to the grounding. As the ferry passed Mabel Island, that's just off Picton, autopilot was on, but at 9:26 p.m. the execute button was inadvertently pressed. That caused the ship to veer off course. The crew initially tried to unsuccessfully regain control. There was about a minute before steps were implemented to try and slow down the ship, but by then it was too late and the ferry ran aground in Te Toki Bay. It is understood that a key part of the investigation will be whether the bridge crew knew how to turn off the autopilot and will investigate claims that no one knew that to override the autopilot you had to hold down the button for 5 seconds. Now, we have had a response from Kiwi Rail over this. They say the safety bulletin that was issued is a standard maritime procedure. It's designed to quickly ensure crew awareness across the fleet after a serious incident, and that it does not replace an investigation. So it also says the autopilot system is not new, has been operating since 2007. It's important that we all understand all of the factors involved in the incident.
So there you go. That was, they're saying it looks like it could be human error, but they're also at the same time saying this is just the initial findings. We'll look into it more deeply as well. So, yes, the ferry ran aground. Yes, it could be human error. All those things are valid. It doesn't change the situation as to what's happening next, though. Because the other thing about the new ferries, Chewy, is that we were due to get these ones in, 2026? End of 2025, 2026?
Yeah.
And now, whatever they're going to do now, we go to the back of the line. So who knows? In fact, didn't I hear Mr. Luxon say something like end of the 2020s we could be getting the new ones by? Been put back by 3 or 4 years just because of them cancelling it. So that has a value to it as well. Like what kind of productivity loss are you going to also get in those 3 years or 2 years or whatever it's going to be that the ferries haven't changed? I wonder if they've added that into their equation as well. I suspect not.
Yeah. Don't forget this. Don't forget this news media.
Yeah.
This is the start of something that's going to be fucking up for years to come.
Yep. All right, let's have a look at some of the chats. Lovely Fano. Peter says, party of the economy, my hairy backside, for $2. Thanks for the super chat. Appreciate it. Tafiri says, don't worry, you can trust Nicola's economic policies. I see what you did there. Hey, this might be a night of puns. Hey, the lowest form of comedy. HOA, puns. Mr. Arvid says, Labour's only hope is, sorry, these guys are morons, end quote. And then they use the fast track that the Nats have opened. Yeah, tell you something about that as well. I might tell you actually, because it came up in the Tama Potaka conversation about the fast track. It's actually the conversation with Mihingarangi Forbes. We're not going to show that part tonight just because there was so much meeting there, but I'll talk a bit about it when it actually comes up. Anything else from the chat or anything else you want to add into the ferries, Chewy?
No, I'm all good.
All right. I would like to play a game. This game is called This Is What It Looks Like to Be Brainwashed, Volume 4.
Our continuing series.
Our continuing series of This Is What It Looks Like to Be Brainwashed. This is not a news story per se. This is me wanting to keep this in front of you guys, that there is a sector of society, whether they're political, whether they're religious, whether they're conspiratorial, whatever it is, that go, oh, it's true because they told me. Oh, yep, it's true. That's true. That happened because they told me. And this is from a dude called Concerned Citizen. American, no idea who he is. B. Gates is a psycho is his Twitter feed. He has 400,000 followers on Twitter. His Twitter feed is full of chemtrails, anti-vax stuff, like all the way through. Birds aren't real, flat earth. That's what his Twitter feed is. And he has 400,000 followers. Fascinating. This one came across my feed today. He's showing a clip. Now, for those guys who don't know, flat earthers don't believe space is real. They don't believe space is real. They don't believe in the ISS. They think that satellites are balloons. They think there's a dome over the earth, like a dome over the earth. So anytime that any imagery goes up from, for example, the ISS, they say it's CG, it's fake, it's all this kind of been made in. So here's what this dude did, right? Let me just show you this. Actually, I'll read it first of all. This is what he said. Glass of water defies the physics of zero gravity aboard the space station. Remember, this thing is traveling at 17,500 miles per hour, so plenty of force acting upon said glass. What an absolute joke. Now, he's too dumb or too brainwashed to understand that you can have a glass of water sitting on a table when you're in a plane doing 1,000 miles an hour and it sits there, right? So what he's done is he's put this video up, and you see he circles a little thing over here. You watch, see, there you go, look, there's a glass of water on the space station. He's circling it. Can't be a thing. Can't be real. You know, what's going on here? We've all seen that. So, of course, Chewy, what I do as a Mythbuster is I go in there, and I haven't even opened up the thing yet. I need to go and open it up. I go in there, and I look for the answer. Momentary. Be with you in a moment, Whānau. Entertain yourselves. I'll be with you in a second. Here it is. So what I do is I go in and I find the original footage. Now, this is the original footage, right? I've taken this clipped out, so it's not the whole thing. Now, you saw the glass of water, right? What it was, they were doing a science experiment in space, beaming it back to children as to the difference of being in space and on Earth by talking about buoyancy. So this is obviously on Earth, and they're doing an experiment where they're putting a ping pong ball into water. See what it does? That's what happens on Earth.
I see.
In space, in the new Chinese space station, when they put a ping pong ball into the glass of water, have a guess, Whānau. What's going to happen? I didn't know this, but this is what happens to a ping pong ball in space and water. Have a look.
It'll stay wherever you put it.
Yep, that's what it does. So basically, there is no buoyancy in space. Now, he didn't show this bit, right? He didn't show the next bit, which is the female astronaut there pulling the cup off, and you can see how much effort she has to use to pull it off. It's obviously stuck down. And then he also didn't show the next bit, which is the part that the astronaut there does with the glass. Have a look. Just enjoy this bit, people. Remember, this can't happen in space, says this person.
In the absence of gravity, there seems like no buoyancy. So that is why the ping pong ball cannot float back. So right now, you know this
now
is
watch this bit. Watch how hard it is for her to pull off. You can see it go pop when it unsticks. Look, she's struggling, and now I don't know why, Chewy, but he wouldn't show this bit of the experiment. He didn't show that.
I love it.
He didn't show that bit of the experiment.
That's devastating.
Yeah.
Why would you show that?
He wouldn't show that bit of the experiment. And the last thing I want to show you in episode 4 of This Is What It Means to Be Brainwashed is there's an old adage, right? That lies go around the world before truth gets its pants on. This is his video. Still up. He hasn't taken it down. It's been viewed 3 million times. I put on his feed an edited version of it right there. And it's been viewed 56,000 times. Now, this is a debunking of his bullshit like never before. But because lies go around the world before truth gets its pants on, 2.9 million people have seen this. And lots of them have done that thing that I was just talking about where they've gone, look, we got them. NASA, birds aren't real, can't do it. They go no deeper, they go no further. And unfortunately, it's our job to do it. And that's what it looks like to be brainwashed. The Gish Gallop that people use, people know what a Gish Gallop is, where a conspiracy theorist or something will come out and they'll go, I'm saying fact with speech marks around it. They'll go, fact, not fact, saying. And then you have to respond, and it takes you half an hour to explain why the first quote unquote fact is wrong. And then that means the other 6 ones that they've vomited out don't get challenged. And so therefore that means they're true in their mind. We did this with myocarditis and sports, teenage athletes in America. I looked at a video of myocarditis, put around that people say, teenage athletes and that kind of stuff. It was like a 7-minute video. I took the first 45 seconds out and debunked every single one of them from things like, yes, this person did die of a heart attack, but it was in 2016, even before there was a vaccine. Like all of them, it took me an hour. So it took me an hour to debunk 45 seconds, right? It was a 7-minute clip. And that's why you get these people just believing, because they're like, well, no one's proven us wrong. Dude, we don't have the time. That took me 20 minutes today. We don't have the time. We don't have the time. But Chewy, there's a very good example for you. Remember, can be political. Three waters. Maori want to own the bloody water. Can you expand on that? Nope. Heard Julian Batchelor say it. That's enough. Done. Finished. That's all the facts. Look, water, can't do that in space. Done. Finished. A lot of people in that thread agreeing with him. I go, what about this floating, spinning cup thing? Absolute debunk. The people who have commented on my one, which are not very many, are like, oh, look, how embarrassing. Why hasn't he taken it down? Doesn't matter. He's posted another 15, literally, posts in the next 5 hours, and enough people have been impacted from it to just let the bullshit stand. Yeah. That's what it looks like to be brainwashed.
It's a fire hose of shit. And it is there for the singular purpose that you can't catch everything. Anybody that wants to get enormously worn out very, very quickly. And then they just flood the zone with shit.
Yeah.
And as you said, Pat, that can be anything. COVID response, politics, domestic, worldwide politics. We've got governments that are, they have bot farms just funneling the shit out. AI is just going to make that easier, or at least harder for anybody to cull all of the shit out. Yeah. Nightmare.
I hope you enjoyed episode 4. And if you'd like to see the long-standing running series, there are 3 episodes to watch of this from recent times. Just to make things even more depressing for tonight, other than this one. Other than that, other than fake news put out about flat Earths, Ryzen's just also said that the Lancet report, the Gaza death count could reach 186,000. I mean, appreciate the super chat, but depressing.
Yeah, the methodology in that, just real quickly, like we've got the acknowledged death count of bodies that have been recovered and stuff like that. And I think at the moment it's approaching the 60,000 mark. Lancet is using basically a measurement that for everybody you find there's 4 that haven't been. Wow. So still under rubble, buried in mass graves, ground over by bulldozers, that sort of thing. And I think just briefly while we're touching on Gaza here, there was a really apt comparison that happened this in the last couple of weeks that showed the hypocrisy that is out there, including in our own leader, Christopher Luxon. You would have seen that missile strike on the Ukrainian hospital.
Yep.
Outrage. Everyone was outraged. How could anybody bomb a hospital?
Yep.
This must stop. We've had 6 months of hospitals being systematically bombed. And everybody's still wringing their hands and like, oh, Israel, you should maybe rein this in a little bit. If it's not too much trouble, no, we'll still continue to deliver arms to you. It's fine.
They've got the right to defend themselves, Sherry. They've got the right to defend themselves by exploding hospitals.
Luxon, very, very quick on the statement about Ukraine. Very, very silent on reflecting on the things that he has said in Israel's favor over the last 6 months. The man has no consistent position, no spine, and no ability to operate on a world stage.
Yeah. Now, look, we've pledged this before. We're not going to allow the guards of conflict to fall to the wayside in our consciousness, like many have done. And we'll put our hand up for a little bit of this as well, as the Ukraine one. Chewy, I'm not going to announce this name, but have a look in the private chat. I'm talking to a particular individual at the moment who is a pretty, a pretty amazing person to come on board and chat with us, a friend of a friend, and if we can, a world-renowned name in that area. So if we can get them, hopefully we will. It looks like we could possibly. It might be a month or so away, but we're not gonna let this stop. We're not gonna drop it. We're gonna keep it in the forefront of our minds. Every time I pull on my buffer shirt, that's the Palestinian flag cover. It just reminds me. I keep wearing it, and we'll keep talking about it. All right. Hey, let's have a look at part of the working group last night. Our old mate, David Seymour, was on there. Old French-Canadian mate, David Seymour. And I'm just really showing, this is the very end of the conversations, right? Matthew Tukaki there, he shared a little bit about what his final thoughts were. And then, of course, David Seymour had to share his final thoughts as well. And I thought they were talking a bit about charter schools. And there's this question that I think we've both asked this, Chewy, and it terrifies me because you can't have both things unless you're a hypocrite. If what this government is doing is what they think is best in the education sector, you know, what they're implementing, what they're wanting to bring in, what they're now enforcing, what they're mandating schools to do, why are they letting charter schools out of doing it? Because you're either providing world-class, the best education system, and you want the charter schools to continue that world-class best education system, or you're not and you don't care. They talk a bit about that. And the other thing that terrifies me from this little chat, Chewy, is it seems that Seymour says, we'll give you your money, charter school, and then we'll leave you alone. We won't even look at you for 10 years. And I thought, fuck me. Who can possibly imagine a Destiny Church, for example, with no checks and balances in a charter school, with no oversight at all, with no check-ins to make sure they're doing the same? Now, maybe Seymour was being flippant. Maybe I'm exaggerating a bit. So we'll play this for you and let you hear it. But it sounds like he's saying to me, charter schools, we'll give you your money, then off you go, whatever you want. Have a listen.
The final word is fear. And I don't think as a country we should be fearful of embracing our Indigenous culture and being Māori. Every other country, and I've been to 114 countries around the world, they love us. They love the fact that we have a unique culture, that we speak a different language and have a diverse, view of life. They love the haka, they love our waiata, they love our language, they love everything. And yet here at home, we appear to have a problem with that because we're scared. And the people that scare us the most are politicians who race to the bottom to get a group of votes because they want to pass the threshold. Let's not be fearful.
Sorry, I forgot to mention as well, there is the whole race-baiting, dog-whistling part that Seymour has to be out there as well. That's a part of the conversation. Just part of it.
Let's embrace it and, dare I say it, let's monetize it.
Preach.
Yeah.
David Seymour, your final word this week, please, sir.
Well, I can't let that go. I mean, I think constantly saying that people that disagree with you must be afraid is sort of a weird sort of bullying.
Therefore, Seymour's
bullying.
Seymour, but that means Seymour would be guilty of bullying all sorts of times, surely.
Actually, no one's fearful of Indigenous culture. We're just a little bit tired of having it rammed down our throats.
Yes, here we go.
Get fucked.
I leave you that space. Ram down our throats, says David Seymour. There's the dog whistle.
Wow.
Sorry, dog foghorn.
David,
Sorry.
David, quick point of order, David. What fucking country are you in? What country are you in? What
and please
culture,
define ram down our throats.
What culture has been rammed down whose throats?
Yeah.
Just a point of order. Know your history?
Yeah.
Jesus Christ, that's
all right.
Fucking shocking.
Dog whistle, dog scream, dog foghorn, probably, maybe.
Foghorn.
And we're a little bit tired of seeing all the other cultures and backgrounds that New Zealanders have being marginalised.
Yeah, the Atlas Network and his supporters. That's the we he's talking about.
at the altar of it. But I'll finish on charter schools because actually next week we're going to open applications. It's going to be very, very exciting. You're going to see people coming forward, starting to put propositions in to operate them from as early as term 1 next year. We're getting a huge amount of interest. People that used to run them saying we want the model back. People running current state schools saying we want to convert. Brand new people saying we want to run charter schools. And I'll just leave this thought.
Have a listen. He doesn't want teachers to be able to unionise, and he wants to give bulk money to schools and then have them go off and do whatever they want.
There for educators, you're going to get a lot of rubbish from the unions because fundamentally charter schools don't have to use their collective employment agreements. Ask yourself why they tell you so much bad stuff about charters. On the other hand, for the teaching profession, you sign a contract between the school and the Crown for 10 by 10 by 10 years. That's 30 years. You deliver the results. You get totally left alone. You get given your money and you get on with it.
So you get totally left alone. You get given your money and you get on with it. 15 seconds to go.
And that is actually obviously done for the children, but the byproduct is an opportunity for the education profession to be reborn as autonomous and respected behind that firewall of the contract with the Crown. Certainly one of the reasons I'm in politics, and very, very exciting for New Zealand education.
There you go. 10 by 10 by 10, you get given your money and then get left alone to get on with it. And as I said before, how do we all feel? How does society feel? How does the country feel about a group like Destiny Church being given the money from the government and being left alone for 10 years to get on with it? How do we really feel about schools now being able to ignore unions who kind of have like workers' rights and good pay and conditions at the forefront of what they do, and able to then just directly play teachers off against each other and pay them maybe more, but equally, if you say maybe more, you also have to equally say maybe less. Maybe the conditions are better, but Chewy, maybe they're worse. And then there's no union to stand up for those teachers. Sir.
But it sounds to me like, is he advocating for every school in the country to just be left alone by the government? Just here's your money and see you later?
No, just the charter school.
Because isn't that what's going to drive the success and innovation? So why do we need charter schools? Just give public schools the same amount of funding per pupil that the charter schools are going to get, because it's almost 4 times as much per pupil. And considering, like, we sat in a room, Pat, and there was a lot of agreement that what teachers were dealing with was a pay and conditions sort of thing, and the number one thing that they wanted was to have less children per teacher, or to have a teacher assistant in every classroom when their roles are approaching 25 to 30 heads in a classroom per teacher. Like, as I said, when we were down there on Monday, when I went through school, 20 pupils was considered a large class for a single teacher. And now it's pushing 20, 25, 30 people per teacher. No help. Not enough money for it. But we've got buckets of cash for these private schools that can have any qualification for a teacher, no qualification for a teacher, no government oversight, don't give a shit about your curriculum. You can be punching out wackadoos every year. We don't care. But here's bucket loads of taxpayer money to do it for your private schools. That is fucked. It is absolutely cooked. Fund the schools that we've got to do the job that we want them to do. Train.
The point you've made, Chewy, is just perfect. It's kind of the same as the point we were making at the start. If the best case is to give schools a bucket of money and let them get on with it, why are you interfering so much with public schools? Just give them the bucket of money, even if it comes differently, and let them get on with it. If you need to, like, put yourself and your policies within the public school sector so much to turn it into what you think is a world-class system, why aren't you making the charter schools do it? So what you're saying is the charter schools could end up being far worse because there's no oversight and you think your way is the best in the world. but you're not going to force them to do the best in the world. You're going to let them do whatever they want. So both of those scenarios don't work. It's one or the other. And I think there's a technical term, Chewy. It's something like, I smell bullshit. I think that's the technical term for it. It's a medical term. It's a medical term.
If Erica Stanford wants to open the Erica Stanford Academy for Cursive Writing, she should fucking do it as a charter school, and rather than inflict it on the rest of the country.
Very good point.
Like, if that's so important, because apparently it is.
Yeah.
The Christopher Luxon Business School of Middle Management, sponsored by Axe Body Spray. They can all have their private little fiefdoms.
Yeah.
Can you imagine the uniform for that, by the way?
No.
Can you
I was
imagine the smell of that school?
It would look a bit like that, wouldn't it?
It would,
isn't that
including the students.
Yeah, that would be the logo, or that would be the mascot. You've got the mascot there already.
It'd just smell like Lynx Africa, and every child on a Monday has their head shaved and polished. That's part of the uniform standard.
Hannah Mitchell Art says, thank you for my brainwash shedding. I see what we did there. Another pun. Hey, it's the pun night. Very punny night here, Chewy. Hey. Number 4 lesson. Can't wait until that is a clip to share. Thank you both for it. Hard work. Cheers. No worries. I'll make some clips about that tomorrow. It might even be tonight. We'll see. Tafiri, thank you for the super chat. Oh, thank you for the super chat, Hannah, by the way, as well. In 2008, an Israeli military commander said they'd give Gaza a bigger show, Hebrew for Holocaust. They literally brag, and our leaders are okay with it. We've all seen the footage of soldiers talking about, raising it to the ground and, stop bullying me, Matthew, says Mr. Arvids. I think about Billy Madison when I hear that. Stop looking at me, Swan. That's a funny movie anyway. And Seymour cemented himself as the worst human being. Wooming, thank you for your super chat. Mr. I have Māori ancestry, Seymour, showing he's the worst case of a human being. That is trending again in our chat, Chewy. That is trending. That's what they call it. It's gone viral in our chat, much like we would have hoped maybe Seymour's parents had have gone before he was born. Anyway, there's a great model for special character schools, integrated schools. Yeah, that was me. I went through the Catholic schooling system. They're integrated, which have been with us since the 70s. So basically, integrated schools, even if for the one person who doesn't, is a mix of private and public. So I went to Catholic school all my whole life. So primary school, and then I went to St. Peter's College from Form 1 to Form 4, and then Sacred Heart College from Form 5 to the end of school. And that's what it is. It's partly funded from the government, like a public school, but there are also fees that are far more than a public school, and it's the best of both worlds. And yeah, I 100% agree, because the Catholic schooling system is a special character because it's based around the Catholic belief. So it's already there. Very good point. Cherie, you want to add?
Yeah, and look, with those integrated schools, the Ministry of Education had some oversight into the curriculum and that sort of thing. There were standards that those schools had to hit as well.
Aero's still there. Yep, they still do Aero reports.
Yep, absolutely. I also saw a comment of we can remember the experiment with bulk funding.
Yeah,
which is kind of here's a pot of money, schools, do what you will with it. But of course, the big thing was it was never going to be enough money. It was a cost cutting measure, and then they could just say, well, if you've run out of money, schools, that's your fault. We gave you money.
Yep.
How could you not make it go all the way? Just another example of government fuckery with schools.
That's an interesting point as well about the integrated schools that you were just saying there, Chewy, that they still have oversight. So here is the school I went to, Sacred Heart College. This is their Aero report. I just Googled it, I looked it up, and there it is, Sacred Heart College in Auckland. There's the Aero report on it. So there's the findings about it, evaluation findings. So yeah, so we're obviously saying that the charter schools, I'm assuming, aren't going to be under Aero, because you couldn't say we'll give you your money, then for 10 years go off and do it. They're not going to be under Aero. That's terrifying. It's a terrifying situation.
The other thing, just very briefly, I want to talk about. This has come up a few times in the chat about David Seymour, and obviously
being the worst person. Is that what?
Well, yeah,
I've seen that once or twice.
But I think more to the point, his Māori heritage. David Seymour is Māori.
Yep.
Whether he likes that or not, or whether he wants to acknowledge that, or if he wishes that wasn't true, that's a different story. But he is Māori. He has Māori whakapapa. I think when people say that he's not Māori, it bugs me a little bit.
What they're probably saying, and it bugs me too, but what he's saying is, this is probably quite a good chance to move into Tama Potaka's conversation with Mihingarangi Forbes. But what they're saying is he is not advocating for Māori. That's what they're trying to say, but they're doing it in a way that is quite offensive. I think it's offensive because you can't say he's not Māori. I mean, because he is. So if he says,
then you get into that whole conversation of, are you Māori enough?
But if he says he's not,
and that's been weaponized in so many different ways.
Yeah, if he came out and said, "No, I'm not going to associate with that. I'm not," then fine, fair, then that can happen. But he's Māori. He's Māori. So, but he certainly isn't advocating for Māoridom, and not even actually. He's doing the opposite. He's putting the knee on the neck, as they say. Now, speaking of, Tama Potaka was on Mata with Mihingarangi Forbes. And there is a lot about this that we're not showing you. You can see it's a 30-minute, 26-minute interview. You should go and check it out. It's on YouTube. YouTube is this new platform that TVNZ doesn't know about. It shows videos, Chewy. It's like a hub for various videos, like a hub for news and other things as well.
That's crazy. That's never going to take on.
Yeah, no. And we're not playing the bit about fast tracking. If you want to know yourselves, fast tracking is about 4 minutes and 19 to 6 minutes and 50 in this clip. And we could have played it, but we would have, we have to have some restrictions due to time. But what I want to say is what Tama was constantly talking about. He was constantly going on about expectations. When fast tracking's happened in the past, and Mihingarangi actually talks about to Tama's iwi, maybe even his whānau, that they got screwed over, and there was a dam that was built, and it killed the bird life and fish life and all the, and he said, well, the difference now is there are these different expectations, and there's an expectation that they will consult iwi, and there's an expectation and our expectation is now, but there's nothing, that word is doing a lot of heavy lifting, because to be honest, expectations don't mean shit unless they're put into process. Chewy, we have expectations that often never get fulfilled. Like, what I'd like to hear is there is a requirement to consult. There is a requirement to get this group that are going to be impacted from fast tracking. There is a requirement to get them on board and agree. There's an expectation you will consult with iwi, means fuck all. It means I emailed them. Literally, I consulted, I emailed. That was the expectation. So we have to be really careful with the language that they're using. When, again, harken back to Monday afternoon when we were talking on this panel, I talked about the thing with the history syllabus is what this government is talking about is quote unquote bringing balance. What they're meaning is getting rid of a whole bunch of treaty stuff is bringing balance. So this government uses words and phrases that sound, everyone's equal, that sound on a singular level one conversation as safe. And yes, we all want everyone to be equal, but then how they put that into practice is the danger. So in this instance, our expectations is doing a lot of heavy lifting, and that's a word that he's used a lot. I feel like I kind of need to play some of that other one now. Maybe at the end, if we've got time, I'll go back and play it. That they're using those words a lot, and they feel like we talked about this before the election. It's the shell game, Chewy. And we're actually seeing the shell game in action now, because they're saying expectation. Fast track's gone through. Māori aren't happy. Yeah, but we did consult them. That was the expectation. So I'm just putting it out there. These are the things we need to keep an eye out for. This first clip, though, Chewy, we're going to play, is he was kind of challenged about a statement he made to do with fast tracking. And I guess it literally means, for example, fast tracking of infrastructure through a native area, through flora and fauna. And he actively said, I believe, we can't be expected to save all species. So this government is actively putting out there that their infrastructure, what they're going to build and do and mine, is likely going to kill off some of New Zealand's native flora and fauna, be it regionally or altogether. Have a listen to the conversation between Mihi and him about that.
Still a little bit on the fast track. Recently, in a response to the fast track, you said saving every species.
marae hapu iwi. There's a lot of...
Oh, sorry guys, that just jumped by itself. I'll have to go and load up the other one as well. This is this little interlude that you live guys are the only ones that get. This won't be in the clip tomorrow.
This is a BTS.
This is just for you guys. We'll start it again.
Still a little bit on the fast track. Recently, in a response to the fast track, you said saving every species was aspirational and couldn't be achieved. Your statement upset many.
Just to start off with, couldn't be achieved. So it's not going to happen. Every species is not going to be saved, Chewy. Now, this has got 2 or 3 minutes to play, but that one sentence, if you want to comment on it now, you're more than welcome to.
I just want to say it was impossible, or thought to be impossible, to bring back the kakapo. And we're doing it.
Yeah.
You know, it's short-term thinking.
But do we really want to be put into a position of having to fight to bring back a dying species because they can't guarantee that they'll save every species? Look, we'll keep going though.
When is aspirational being throwaway of like, we can't do it?
Yeah.
It's aspirational.
Yep. All right, here we go.
Particularly environmentalists. What was your statement based on? Why can't we attempt to save every species?
No, I think that the Department of Conservation and actually a lot of public, private, philanthropic and community entities are doing their very best to save species throughout the country.
It's not the question. It's not the question.
Job cuts and funding cuts.
It's not the question. She asked you, why can't we? And you're saying some are.
Certainly know from my own personal experience, being in this role for a few months, seen the diligence and the professionalism of the team at the Department of Conservation to work with others. Great projects around the country like Te Kotahitanga o Te Taio down at Te Taio Wildere or Abel Tasman National Park and Project Maunga down at Taranaki Maunga. You've seen a real enthusiasm to save and move species from a threatened and at-risk space into a persisting space. And we're talking about 4,500 species, a lot of species.
This is a long non-answer. He hasn't answered the question yet. He's saying there are people out there saving species. The question was, you say there's no guarantee we can do this. This is what we want to hear an answer to.
The 80,000 native species that we have in the country that are either threatened or at risk.
So are you committed to saving every species or not?
We're committing to doing our very best, and I am too, and I encourage the Department of Conservation to team members, Penny Nelson and others at the Papatawhai, to do their level best to do that. We do operate within fiscal parameters and fiscal responsibility, and certainly the budget that we have at the Department of Conservation, nigh on $700 million.
It's a random word generator.
Yeah, this not an answer. Are you committed to trying to save? It's not an answer yet.
Total budget to look after 30% of all the land and resources in New Zealand, and in addition to that, some of the marine space. So we are stretched thin.
But it's a decision.
Yeah. So I think Mihi's going to say it. I won't interrupt you. It's a decision they've made for funding. Sorry.
And in addition to that, some of the marine space. So we are stretched thin.
But it's a decision at the end of the day, and it's a financial decision because you're spending $2.9 billion on tax deductibility for landlords and $3.7 billion a year on tax cuts. You could instead spend $6 billion on saving our unique flora and fauna.
Yeah, I think there are choices that have been made by successive governments over time, and certainly my
Your government.
You can't claim that. You've just been given $6.5 billion that you've chosen to cut out of New Zealand. You can't do that.
See for the.
Sorry, I'm going to interrupt. This question here, dude. You wait for the next question. You think this is uncomfortable? You wait and see, my friend.
Within cabinet and across my colleagues, but particularly with our manu putea, Minister Willis, is to make sure that we have the appropriate resources dedicated to what we need to do within the Department of Conservation and across other departments, because it's not just Te Papatawhai that does work in this space, in the environmental space, the Ministry for the Environment, there's Ministry of Primary Industries and others too. But certainly from my perspective, the priority to make sure we know where is high conservation area, what can we do in order to do that, and we go through processes for other areas within the DOC estate that have more commercial incentives, like, for example, the ski fields.
Yeah, okay, Chewy. What are your thoughts, my friend? I'm going to go just double check that other video.
Fuck was that?
Talk about word salad, eh?
Oh, look, we gave Luxon shit for throwing a Scrabble bag of letters into a ceiling fan. I've now watched A Drowning Man.
Yeah.
Like, Mihi pushed him into a pool and just watched him. It was cold.
Yeah.
Didn't even throw him a wee lifeline. Thing was, Tama was in the paddling pool. He could have just stood up. That's deeply concerning. Like, New Zealand is a lifeboat for biodiversity. We have things here that are not found anywhere else.
Yeah.
Shane Jones wants an open pit mine wherever he can fit one, conservation land or not. And again, in the scheme of things that we're talking about, that's short-term possible gain. All of that profit's heading offshore. There's some wages. You know, there was an interview
Some
with Shane the other
GST.
day where he was just going, oh, well, these companies will have to pay PAYE. Really? That's what you're going to talk about, PAYE, when you're talking about the billions of dollars that these mining companies want to extract? Because they've paid hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars to get to this point. It's worth it to them. But we're sitting there going, oh, shit, you know, carnivorous land snail, not sexy as a kiwi, gone, cut it. Hector's dolphin, that gone, don't need it. You know, what was it? Bridges said once that there's plenty of fish in the sea when talking about Hector's dolphin. Just, you know, and look, I saw it. Who said it? This is very, very true. Peter said it. John Key's government had a goal of predator-free New Zealand. This is quite an about-face from Team Blue. Yeah. Absolutely. Because they're all bought. They've all been bought and fucking paid for by the mining companies. And when Tama was going, oh, we're stretched thin, you chose that. You made that choice to slash Department of Conservation funding. You made them cut wages to hit their new budget, cut job roles. You're stretched thin because you stretched them. You made that choice.
Yeah. Mike also says they fucking don't care. They don't understand the diversity of species nowhere in the world, and same time, the breakdown of ecology. I'm fascinated by Tama Potaka because, as people said in the chat, he doesn't look comfortable there. We're about to play you another clip, and whilst not maybe the same bombastic aggression that you might see between a Winston Peters and a Jack Tame, this is one of the most uncomfortable I've ever seen a politician. See, Tama Potaka he speaks fluent Te Reo, right? He knows his whakapapa, he knows the rules, he knows the custom, he knows all about it. He's about to get challenged by Mihingarangi Forbes about ACT's interpretation of the treaty. And she asks him deadpan, do you agree with ACT's interpretation of the treaty? So you've got these Māori academics and language experts saying one thing. You've got ACT saying another. Māori language academics and experts, do you disagree with all of them and agree with ACT? And this is a sight to behold. This is a sight to behold.
Aotearoa's most esteemed Te Reo Māori translators have written an open letter to the government.
Yes.
Their concerns are the upcoming Treaty Principles Bill is based on a highly inaccurate translation that breaches international ethical standards of translations and risks enshrining fiction as legal fact at the heart of our nation's constitutional arrangements. So as a graduate of Panikiritanga, you will have some expertise in this area. Is it not critical when making good law that specialist experts are used to translate, particularly a document so important as te tiriti?
Yes, so first thing, e tautoko ana o kōrero he taonga hoki tō tātou reo. Ki au nei he tuā papa mō Aotearoa New Tiriti, iwi hapu whānau, e ka kaha tautoko au I te kōrero I tō tātou reo ao pōpō ao. But to mea nei, I'm also a great royal Wanganui alongside Te Panekiratanga and Te Aute College. So,
now, I don't want to interrupt him there, but just remember the question he's being asked is, the question he's going to be keep coming back to is, do you agree with what the what the translation is. That's the heart of this question over and over again.
Do you think that the translation of those 3 articles is inaccurate?
No, we have entered into coalition commitment, the National Party and the ACT Party, around a treaty principles bill based on ACT policy to be taken forward for first reading and to the Select Committee. That's where we've said what we've said, that's what we've committed to.
But do you think that the translations are inaccurate as our mātanga reo have stated in the open letter?
I think there are various translations given to
well, there's
the
3.
treaty.
There's 3, and they're in the bill, and you would have seen them.
I've not seen the bill being presented.
Oh, hang on. Heck, just, anyone's bullshit nerve. I've not seen the bill. Heck, hang on.
They're in the bill, and you would have seen them.
I've not seen the bill being presented yet. No, we know that there's a draft ACT policy, and I've not seen a bill.
Do you trust the likes of Te Haumihiata, Perepi Walker, Tātiri McLeod, Stacey Morrison, as our mātanga reo who say that they are highly inaccurate and they are worried that this is going to be a bill that is going to Parliament?
I have seen the letter, and I'm very appreciative of the letter and expressed some very genuine concerns. In addition, the National Party and the ACT Party have an arrangement, the coalition commitment, to take a bill forward.
Yeah, except that you are the Minister of Māori Development. Wouldn't Te Iwi Māori expect you to ensure that our reo is being handled, treated, translated to the utmost quality? I mean, do you even know who translated it?
I'm not aware of who within the ACT Party has been involved in doing this work.
Will you chase that up? Is that important to you?
This is very important to me.
So will you chase it up?
Important. It's very important to me to ensure that we follow through on our coalition commitments, but we also follow through on some of the concerns, genuine concerns and legitimate concerns that our mātanga reo have raised.
If you don't find, if it continues to stay the same, those translations that our mātanga reo say are highly inaccurate, will you still support the first reading of that bill?
We are bound by coalition commitments.
But you're a Reo Māori speaker, and you're a kaitiaki of the reo. Surely you would not support something where you know it's inaccurate.
Well, my understanding,
Jesus, that's hitting him like a punch,
is that we will follow the coalition commitment. Now, I know there's genuine concerns, and those concerns have been and will be continued to be raised in that process.
Will you take a look at the reo?
I will continue to raise the genuine concerns of constituents and mātanga reo, such as those people who have conveyed that letter.
So you will take a look?
I'll take those issues forward.
Yeah, and will that be something?
There you go.
Right.
Now, you know that when we watch these clips, we often jump in and out and kind of expand and kind of angle, but it's like, Mihi needs no help. Mihi needs no help. That was... I mean, I don't have the cultural reference to what that is. Chewy, maybe for you, and I know how much you sort of honour and admire Anzac Day. If you had a belief about that was passionate to you, but then you start getting paid in a job where you had to reject that, how would you do that? How could you do that? I mean, we think about our own personal families. If we had a love for our partner or our mum or our dad, and we had to take a job and get paid, that would lead us to having to say or speak or do or accept my workplace doing something contrary to what my family needed or wanted or believed. And, you know, I don't mean to, I'm not judging Tama, I'm just thinking as the bigger picture. How long can we take that paycheck whilst we're shitting on our family, whilst you're shitting on, you know, the honour you want to give to Anzac Day or whatever it is? How does that look? And that is what it looks like, what we just saw, when you get confronted with a political party and worldview, basically getting asked, the people in our space who we respect more than anybody else, who we look to when we need clarification on the issue of te reo Māori, are saying something opposite to what ACT is saying. How do you do that? And obviously, as you heard and saw, stumbling, bumbling, incapable of probably saying what he believes. That's the other thing. He is hamstrung by this party he's in, which then makes me think bigger picture. What the fuck is he doing? Who is he going to be a national to them?
You've been very generous not to judge him. I think there's a whole lot of people judging him right now. But I'm not one of them, because all of us, hand on heart, we've left our keys at home, or we've left our phone at home, or maybe we forgot our lunch when we went to work. This is the first time I've seen a man leave his spine at home. Like, just the whole thing is sitting on the bench at home. I think you've nailed it there, Pat. Like, this is a man who has put years of his life into treaty issues and studying te reo and all of that sort of thing. It's clearly important to him. And he can't find something that ACT has been quite happy to do and go, agree to disagree.
Yeah,
we
true.
agree to disagree on this.
True.
He could have done that.
Yep, true.
And, with everything that I agree, I don't agree with ACT's interpretation. But National has undertaken to take this bill to the first reading, and that's what we'll do. But I personally disagree with this. I don't think that is such a hard bridge to cross. I wonder, is this something that would put a man, you go home, you sit down in a chair, and you go, oh, fuck, I hate this.
Yeah, then what?
How long can you put up with that?
Yeah.
Like, is he I don't know him that well. I haven't been following his career closely or that sort of thing. Is this a man that has, the mana to go, I can't do this. I can't keep doing this. This is too important to me. Or is he someone that is more malleable than that?
Mm.
But I think, very much past being on the left of or right of a Western style of government, as a Māori who clearly cares about this stuff. I think if he didn't care, he would have been able to breeze through that interview.
Yeah, true.
Like, there's a
just lie. He could lie. If he didn't care, he could just lie and just be like, whatever, don't care.
Yep. And I think there was a line of questioning there from Mihi that was just hitting him like hammer blows. You could see it in his face. He's not good at concealing his emotions in his face.
You mean like
which
this?
is something that I admire,
like that
in
moment.
a politician. Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's literally taking it on the chin at that point. Yeah, I wonder what that does to someone.
Mm. Yeah. And look, me and Chewy, you already talked a bit about Monday and how much we saw how that kind of foundation of the Māori culture is it really is everything. It's like, and I'm speaking from ignorance here, so forgive me if I'm a bit clunky, but that the way that Māori communicate and live and pass on knowledge and speak and teach, and it's not that they're putting on a show for others, it's that they're training themselves to do. And Tama's grown up in that, and now being told, these guys that we, guys and girls, guys being a plural, respect and look to for the answers all the time. That you're supporting the assholes that are saying they're wrong. How do you feel about that? Yeah, dagger, man, absolute dagger. So,
and look, very similar to what I said elsewhere in the show. Maybe we're two dickheads that have got it completely wrong. Tama, welcome on the show. Come and tell us. Come and tell us where we're wrong, or maybe tell us that we're right.
Before we head off, I will, because I've talked so much about that one, I should have just played it because it's only 2 minutes long. I want to play you a little bit here from the fast track conversation. The only reason I want to play you this is to hear this idea about expectations. Expectations doing a lot of the heavy lifting as opposed to saying there's requirements. I probably won't play the whole lot. I'll just give you an example of what they're doing.
Let me get this right. You're saying that the balancing act is that you will be involved and the Minister for Conservation and Infrastructure will also be involved. Yeah. But that's really in lieu of the public being involved, isn't it? Because under this proposed bill, there is no public consultation or councils or regional councils having their involvement, and that's really what the concern of Māori is that ultimately at the end of the day 3 ministers get to decide. Is that rangatiratanga?
Well, the first thing is that rangatiratanga doesn't come out of a piece of legislation. rangatiratanga predates
Rangatiratanga comes out of the treaty, and the treaty promises Māori in their rohe to have rangatiratanga over their whenua and their taonga katoa. So my question is, this process, the fast track, is that rangatiratanga for Māori?
No. What I'd start with saying is that rangatiratanga is affirmed by the treaty. It doesn't come out of the treaty, and those things predate the treaty, and that notion of rangatiratanga, mana motuhake and other things predates the treaty. And the treaty and other documents have affirmed it. The second thing is that you take someone who wants to go through an application through the fast track process as it's currently drafted, the expectation is that they will go out and engage with iwi and with other Māori groups who are involved in the area or the piece of land or the resource.
But if they don't,
proposed to be the subject.
3 ministers can just go, sweet as.
Yeah.
So right from the get-go, the expectation and it's announced very well through the proposed legislation, is that there will be engagement on the ground between any proposed applicant and whānau, hapu, iwi, who occupy that area or who are part of that area.
What might that look like? A mining company that wants to come in and quarry somebody's tupuna maunga. What are the rules around having to engage with iwi?
I think the bill observes that or requires that there'd be some engagement. People wouldn't not just an email, but people will go and talk. Proposed applicants will go and talk with the relevant iwi and hapu who are from that location to identify what the
knocked on their door,
of the
but no one was
application
home.
happens to be. Now, I think that there are a number of areas through the legislation there's been some significant concern that's been expressed. For example, 3 ministers making decisions, but I think we've also seen Manu Pihopa, Minister Chris Bishop, has also observed along the way that maybe that's something that can be looked into, come out of the select committee process, and there'll be decisions made as to how the decision making actually takes place, and there might be other options for that.
So there you go. That was basically the clip anyway. And look, the truth is, you heard the word expectation, I think 3 times there, and you heard them talking about the way it's supposed to be done but none of that was like, this is how it has to work, and they need to get these people on board. So I just wanted to show you a bit about the expectations. And through the whole interview, you saw 2 minutes there of a 26-minute interview, that word expectation. I don't know. It feels like it was mentioned 20 times, maybe 10, but it was mentioned a lot, Chewy.
There's an expectation or a requirement for them to consult with Māori over these issues. Yeah, but at the end of the day, if they don't, that can be waved away by 3 ministers that say yes or no.
Yeah.
That is a massive overreach, a massive amount of power consolidated down to just 3 ministers. The fast track bill is a horrible piece of legislation. It's mad. I want to make a more positive comment here. Mehi's interview style is amazing.
Yep.
It's so calm. It's so disarming. And it lets people out there in the open with no cover. It's a very different interview style than we see from a lot of interviewers.
Yeah.
It's refreshing.
Yeah. Yep. Very cool. All right. Let's get to a few chats that are in here. Josie Posey from earlier, and the best time I've heard is Polynesian. Yeah, that's you were talking about David Seymour. That's a phrase that I've heard bandied around a bit as well. Mata says it looks like the boat races are back on for a $2 super chat. Thank you for that. Nick says, speaking on predators free, has anyone seen my national voter trap? From Kooky Nick.
We definitely need a trap line, Kooky, not just the one.
Thank you for the $8.99, $9 super chat. Just a koha. Appreciate that. Mata again. As a lawyer, this is talking about Tama Potaka. As a lawyer, he's used to getting paid by the word. It's quite funny. I like that. It's quite funny. Mr. Arvids, sorry to those related to him. Tama Potaka may be a new person. He's selling out to our country identity the 2 unique things that come to us, our native wildlife and culture. A disgrace, I guess it is. Yeah, I'm always, you know me, Chewy, I like to be gracious when possible, but yeah, that was a tough one. It was a tough one to go, what's behind this if it's anything other than money. I can't really think what else it could be. Another Tama says, honestly, if Tama just went home for a week back to his whānau in marae and just spent time with his people, it would do him so much good. And Shayad, thank you for the super chat. Says, Renews has put out a few speeches about the treaty. A few notable names are Hone, I guess that's Harawira, Tokaha Ferris and Mihi Forbes, but all were really good. Takuta Ferris. Yeah, cool. There's a lot going in there. So that's about it, actually. Anything else you want to get to? Are we done for the night? We're coming up to our typical 90-minute, 60-minute show.
Yes. Yeah. Look, I sort of touched on it earlier in the show. There's a big NATO conference over in the States. That's why Luxon's over there. Because NATO have invited him over, and the focus is very much on Ukraine at the moment, because that is in NATO's sphere of what's ongoing in
the NATO
in
sphere.
Ukraine. Yep, NATO sphere. I see that Luxon has committed $16 million to help Ukraine. That's great. But there's another little thing going on at the moment where a lot of NATO member states are also involved, and they're all being very, very quiet about that. While the ongoing bombing of Gaza continues, while the death toll continues, the famine continues, and Israel have still not seemed satisfied with the absolute pillaging and murder of the Gazan people. It's still not enough to cover what happened in October 7th.
Yeah, that's the classic question. What number will be enough, people? Zionists? How many? How many will be enough?
There's been more illegal settlements approved. They're asking for tenders at the moment for oil exploration rights off the coast of Gaza. No, not the Gazans, not the Palestinians. The Israelis,
are
asking for tenders for oil exploration in Palestinian waters.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, they're settling Gaza already. Lots going on. All right, guys. There's a couple of interviews that I'm chasing to do with Gaza as well. We are going to keep it in the forefront of our minds, as we said. And we'll keep on going. It's been lovely to be with you tonight. Short week for us for the live shows, but we will be back tomorrow night to do it all over again.
And shoot, pick up the news, big Harry style, keeping it loose. New Zealand, where the politics play, they bring the truth every single day, talking about the mess all over the land. They shine a light with a mic in their hand. No time for cheese, just facts straight up. Bad and true, never backing up. From the Cape to Bluff, no place too far. They expose the truth and raise the bar. Politicians tremble at their mighty voice. Pat and chew, they'll make the right choice.
All right, guys, remember, that's us for tonight. If you want to be a part of what we do and help us out, every little bit helps. Patreon.com/Big Hero News. You can there be a part of our credits at the end. Also, remember, it's pinned on my Twitter feed and on the Big Hero News Facebook page. Chance to win $500 if you're a muso or muso inclined for designing us a brand new theme song that could be playing here in August. That's it for me, Joey.
That's also it from me.
All right. Have the best night, people. We'll see you tomorrow night live for another edition of Big Hero News. Hooroo.
Cheers, fam.